So we're talking cannabis today, cryptocurrency, and tech industries with U.S. global investor CEO Frank Holmes and Galileo investment manager Samuel Pelaez. Gentlemen, cannabis, we haven't missed the boat. Some people were saying 3 years ago was when you should be getting on board with cannabis. Samuel, you were quick to say that's not the case.
Absolutely. 3 years ago was a great place to be investing in the producers. We were not very active in the producers. We've always thought the real economics are downstream. And downstream is not just recreational marijuana. It's medical, it's biotech, it's mega industries, multi-billion, even trillion-dollar industries that are going to be developed and enhanced with these new products. So we were actually waiting for that. So whoever is saying that you missed the boat, you didn't. You missed the boat to participate in the growers, which now have substantially very large valuations. But we actually think the economics are going to start rolling down to the downstream. We've seen a lot of appetite from, for example, the U.S. breweries getting involved. We've had two of them make substantial investments into the Canadian producers and some of the vertical angles that they have for distribution. But more importantly, what we're really interested in is the medicinal biotech applications that it may have and how big that market is. And perhaps, Frank, you know a little more about that.
So one of the big things of being in the U.S., we've not participated with our funds because we would be in violation of federal laws.
Yes.
But what's really fascinating to me is the ratio of U.S. to Canada. So Canada is 1/10 in assets, and everything is 1/10, population-wise, et cetera.
Yeah.
But speculative money, it's at least 30-1. The whole idea of Silicon Valley and speculating on new technology, the frackers for the oil, it's my land, the creation of Uber, the creation of, it's more speculative. The casino phenomenon that took place, and now it's gone all over the world. Yeah. So it's important to recognize that the big buyers of a lot of these Canadian companies are Americans. And they're speculative. They're creative investors. They follow newsletter writers. They're not following the Wall Street Journal. They're not listening to their Merrill Lynch broker. They're going through the TDs or through the Fidelities, et cetera, their brokerage arms, and buying these Canadian companies because they see this as a very important new segment. So that's something really important to recognize. And when we've had big sell-offs, there was one particular trust discovered they had $250 million of Canadian marijuana stocks, and immediately they dumped them. That hurt the market, and then the market clawed right back. Wow. So it's important to understand those dynamics day in, day out. But in a big picture, I totally agree with Sam. The biotech sector is of a magnitude. If it's $5 billion for marijuana growers, well, guess what? It's $50 billion biotechnology. And we just recently saw the FDA approve a drug for kids with epilepsy. And when you look at, there's 400 basic molecules in this unique product, and it's how they're going to cut and slice. So it's going to help for your sleeping. It's going to deal with anxiety, the delivery mechanisms. There's a whole slew of ways to take a look at. And biotechnology is really fascinating to me because it has the same DNA of volatility as gold mining stocks. It is a non-event over any time that the daily volatility is plus or minus 3%. In the U.S. has to go through 3 stages, like a mine has to go through 3 stages of development. You have to go through 3 trials. So I see much more opportunity in the biotech space. And then I think, Sam, we were talking about blockchain technology, of how do you make sure there's no counterfeiting or there's no illegal drugs, et cetera. How do you do markers with them? And blockchain is probably one of the best mechanisms for that.
Yeah, it's actually funny that you mentioned that. A friend of ours, Dennis, he has this incredible anecdotal evidence that Americans consume 80 times more Kobe beef than they import from Japan. And by definition, it has to be imported from Japan. So your odds of getting the real thing is about 1 in 80. Wow. And that's because there's no technology to track the source and sort of like the whole supply chain of how you got that steak from Japan all the way to your table. Let's say it's not a big an issue, but with medical products, biotech, et cetera, the origin and the tracking aspect of it becomes of paramount importance. And that's where blockchain technology actually marries very well with this industry. There are companies out there, not a lot, but there's a specific one that does this very well. They're active in the U.S. right now. They use blockchain technology to track all the way from the producer and the vault of seeds and product all the way to the final consumer. Every step, every transaction, track every dollar, which state is actually accrues to, so that the state can collect taxes directly. And so this is going to open a completely new dimension for both the biotech industry, but specifically biotech when it relates to cannabis and other type of products like this.
This is exciting stuff. How long do you think before it all sort of, the dust settles a little in the cannabis industry and everything sort of, we know what we're doing? Because I mean, right now...
It's nonlinear.
It's nonlinear.
It's nonlinear.
Okay.
And there'll be discovery holes, and there'll be there'll be breakthroughs in delivery mechanisms, or there'll be breakthroughs on a new molecular structure that's more efficient, more effective. So we don't know. And there's a lot of money going in. There's lots of R&D money going, just like there would be drilling up in Northern Ontario.
Right.
And that's what we're dealing with.